So good evening and a warm welcome to all. Oops, I can sense your discomfort on hearing the word warm. It is so warm in here with the temperature around 35 degrees at 6:30 p.m. Let me rephrase it. Good evening and welcome to you all for this first ABC webinar of the year 24-25. I am Sandeep, 1987 Textile Technology, residing in Tirupur. I work as Chief Executive and Catalyst at Conquest Quality Systems Services Private Limited, predominantly working in the field of textiles and apparels. Conquest activities include consulting, quality control and assurance of apparels that is exported to various countries, and software development. ABC Alumni Business Council is an initiative of the PSG Tech Alumni Association Chennai chapter. The parent chapter is housed in the college campus, and there are associations all across the world. Chennai chapter is one of the most vibrant of all associations with nearly 300 members this year. In addition to ABC, other initiatives of the chapter includes Cubs of Chennai chapter, where the young alumni join together and create multiple opportunities of networking. In fact, they are having a cricket match going on between the alumni tomorrow at Chennai. People who are interested can join. The details are in the Chennai chapter WhatsApp group. And Equity Investor Group for those who are interested in finance and stocks. I function as an executive committee member at the Chennai chapter and the ABC. To know a little bit more about the ABC, is it visible? Is my screen visible?
No, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir.
The purpose of Alumni Business Council is to promote networking and development of PSG Tech alumni entrepreneurs across the world. Who can become a member of ABC? Any PSG Tech alumni can become a member. I sincerely invite members who are watching this program who are not yet members to enroll as a member of ABC, where lots of opportunities are there for networking and as well as for business development. The structure of ABC is such that it functions as an autonomous body under the framework of Chennai chapter. The office bearers of the ABC are the President, Mr. Ratna Kumar, founder and director of Cartech, is from 1994 batch. Secretary, Mr. Paniselvam, proprietor Seagull from 1985 batch. And treasurer, Mr. Madhu of Red Cross Packaging is 1992 sandwich batch. The ABC Executive Committee consists of 12 members who ably support running of the ABC effectively. And each one has their role to play. And I play a role of webinar hosting for this particular year. And thanks for ABC for this opportunity. How do we engage? At the moment, though, I feel maybe at ABC, we are under very conventional way of engaging member. But as we go, I think we can evolve, we can co-create together with the members and the executive committee of the ABC. We have lunch or dinner meetings in Chennai. Since it is at the operated by the Chennai chapter, physical meeting is at Chennai mostly. We have a ABC LinkedIn page, ABC WhatsApp group. We do have industry visit by fellow ABC members and business webinars, which are part of the networking and knowing together. The membership detail for the last financial year, it is 52, and now we are almost crossing this number. The annual membership fee is rupees 6,000 only. Members are from different cities and various places across the world. Just to showcase a few of our events where we come together, explain knowledge sharing, networking, and we are looking forward for a lot of business opportunities as well. Angel investing is one of the agenda which is taking shape, which may take a few more months to get into a proper shape and getting implemented. Thank you very much. So again, urge those alumni who is watching this program, please do contact Mr. Paneerselvam, Secretary, and become a member of ABC. Change is usually a response to something and happens gradually, while transformation is a deliberate and significant shift. Today, we have with us Mr. Lakshmi Murthy, 1996 Mechanical Engineering from PSG College of Technology, co-founder and CEO, Niche Brains, India's first transformation experts platform, to share more about the method of transformation, or should we call disruption, the Phoenix Encounter method, a new wave strategic approach for organizational growth. Mr. Lakshmi Murthy is also an executive learning coach for digital strategy and innovation programs at INSEAD. He is also a lecturer in growth and transformation Phoenix Encounter method, offered as INSEAD's flagship corporate program. This program is planned for an hour and a quarter, and we shall ensure that the timing is maintained so that members can comfortably watch IPL. In fact, I would like to ask during the session, is IPL a Phoenix Encounter for the cricket itself? We have planned it to be as engaging as possible with you all through poll questions and Q&A. Please do share your questions in the Q&A tab. You will be seeing in the bottom part of the Zoom screen. And through the program, we will try as much as possible to attend all the questions you have. Just in case, if we are in lack of time, we will ensure that Mr. Lakshmi Murthy responds to each one of the questions, and we will share in the WhatsApp group or to your mail directly if you are not yet a member. It's been a very interesting journey to have a chat with Lakshmi Murthy when we started this program. And I now invite Lakshmi Murthy to tell us more about, first, about how in every step of his career, alumni of PSG has played a part. And that itself was an interesting story to hear from him. And I don't know whether he was aware before we spoke about it. He was also equally surprised to know that everywhere there was a PSG alumni connect for him. And also about Niche Brains, where he has got a wonderful uniform and a logo on his shirt there. So the name Niche Brains itself is very, a kind of an amusing word. So I would like Lakshmi Murthy to share a few about his company and about his role in INSEAD, which is as interesting and knowledgeable, and people can know about INSEAD as well. Over to you, Lakshmi.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandeep. Really appreciate the warm welcome. Of course, though it's hot in Chennai, I'm based out of Hyderabad, but some personal thing brought me to Chennai. And the predicament that is, I am the one who's between IPL and yourself is also putting a lot of pressure on me. But I'll just try to do my best to see that how I can give a very crisp answers as we go forward. And again, thanks a lot for Alumni Business Council for giving this opportunity to share my journey from a small village in Chennai, near Chennai, I would say that, to where I'm today. And thanks to PSG for making me what I am today, I would say that. And since the joining of PSG in 1992, PSG was always part of me in every journey that I took. Like in 96, I got a first placement in through our college, and worked in Thermax for 4 good years. And then the destiny has it say that I joined 3 of my friends who are also my batchmates in PSG in a company called Bahn Information Systems, which is an ERP and supply chain company where we worked for more than 7 years. It gave me an opportunity to really understand how the business works, the software is working, and so on and so forth. And I would say the destiny, as it's called it, when we, all the 4 of us, me together with 3 of my friends, decided to take that entrepreneurial itch somewhere in 2008 and 2009. That's where we started a company called NicheBees Techno Solution, which is specifically focusing on providing business value to customers who are using ERP and supply chain solutions. And since then, it has been running, and we have worked with clients across Europe, Asia, and delivered values to Fortune 500 clients like Rolls-Royce, Siemens, and Zodiac Aerospace, many verticals. And I would say that when the journey that happened as such, I'm also trying to see that how I can mix my INSEAD story as well. So as I see that we started our entrepreneurial journey with friends together, and it's been now 15 years. But somewhere in 2015, I've decided to do a kind of a leadership program with the INSEAD Business School, and which changed the overall perspective of from being a developer and a consultant to how to think from a business point of view. And since then, I've been also associated with INSEAD as a lecturer in growth and transformation. And also I work with global executives on formulating their digital transformation strategy. Now, in the last 2 years, also work with them closely on artificial intelligence strategy and data strategy, and so different ones. It gives me more than, I would say that working with them, it also gives me a learning opportunity to understand how the different businesses are going through a huge transformation in the last 5 to 8 years. I would say that. So all these things also, one thing led to another thing. I would say that the idea of Niche Brains stemmed somewhere in 2018 with from one of my co-founder. I would say that it's all about the fact is that while a lot of large organizations are looking for outside experts to solve a specific business problem. Now, these large organizations have both access to capital, that is finance, as well as access to people, because that's not really a challenge. But however, there are more than 90% of any economy is made up of small and medium industries. They don't have that kind of a luxury. So they have one shot at modernizing their business or implementing a software. But again, if you see that more than 70% of these kind of initiatives fail. And when we really look at traditional way of work, the employment is always a full-time employment is considered as the go for working and earning oneself as well. All these things have been going through a changing way in the last few years, thanks to technologies like cloud, AI, data analytics, and many things. All these are converging now. And the future of work will be something like where a business owner look for a specific business challenge to be solved. They look at what problem to be solved, and they look for expert who can solve in a shorter period of time. That is what is the hypothesis we have worked on. And our idea of Niche Brains has started from the fact that we want to bring in the global best of the global niche brains to under one umbrella and connect them with the small and medium enterprises who are in need of these kind of expertise for on demand, for an outcome-based engagement in a short time period of time. So that's the kind of an idea with which we started off with this. This is also with the fact that the data also proves that over the last 50 years, the age of the companies, if you see that, it has been reducing from 55 years to less than 5 years. Every company starts and then get closed in about less than 5 years of time. Whereas the career span of our professional, previously people used to work for 30 years. Now people career span is getting reduced from 30 years to possibly 10 years. So we wanted to see that, but then still they have a lot of energy left to offer their expertise for these companies. So we wanted to see that haves and people who are in need and people who have this expertise to connect and then provide them the business open. That's the kind of idea we came in. And what is the PSG connection here is that I'm also happy to say that in Niche Brains, with which this idea has started, the key investors, there are 2 key investors are there who are also a PSG alumni. So that's a kind of a connection I've been having in the last 26 years. So PSG and Niche Brains, our company has been kind of going through the same, I would say, a very well connected journey. So that's the kind of a journey I had, Sandeep. And looking forward to have more, kind of a stronger relationship with our PSG community in the years to come.
I think you might be one of the person who has the perfect alignment with PSG. Nalla suri irukku solluvaangale Tamilla andha madri.
That's correct.
Yeah. And thanks for taking this time in getting this kind of a conversational session. Maybe you said this is the first time you are having, and I'm also hosting as a solo host for the first time for the chapter as well as ABC. So we can have some firsts here. Yeah.
True.
To set the context, actually, to set the context here, there could be some young entrepreneurs, or there could be would-be entrepreneurs here. Just to to bring everybody into one platform, what is the difference between what we call as a change? ஏன்னா மாற்றம் ஒன்றுதான் ஒரே நிலையில இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க இல்லையா, சேஞ்ச் இஸ் ஒன் தட் இஸ் கான்ஸ்டன்ட் அப்படின்ட்டு. ஸோ இஸ் சேஞ்ச் வெரி டிஃப்ரெண்ட் ஃப்ரம் டிரான்ஸ்ஃபர்மேஷன்?
Excellent question. So இது நம்ம இந்த question ஆன்சர் பண்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி I thought that I will just have a quick poll, because that can also help our participant to see the context with which what we talk about transformation and change. So I'm going to quickly share a link as well as share my screen. Let me know if the screen is visible. So you can either scan the QR code or click on the link which I'm just going to about to paste in the chat box.
So for the members who are watching this program, please click on the chat box and you will see the link that is sent by Lakshmi. You can click on the link and there will be questions.
Yeah. So there is one question. There are just a quick question on how was your business performance if you are working for an organization or if you are working for if you are an entrepreneur. How has been your business performance over the last 3 years? I've given just about 4 options. So feel free to choose which is more close to you. Let me know if you are able to access the link as well. Just we'll take quick 1 minute to complete this part.
Yeah. For that, do you have to stop sharing the screen, Lakshmi?
Yeah, I'm going to just so
yeah, we got the link. I'm able to see the link. I hope all the participants are able to see the link as well. Link in the chat box. There is a Slido.
Yeah.
And the question is, how was your business performance over the last 3 years?
So we will have another 20 seconds before we move on, so that
yeah. But for me, as a panelist, I think I'm getting the result, right?
Yeah, you're seeing my screen.
Oh, you are okay.
Yeah.
Because I have not.
You're able to see the screen now?
I'm able to see the screen, but I'm not able to click my choice.
Oh, the choice can be clicked on the link that I've shared on the chat box,
yes.
Sandeep.
But
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Excellent. I think majority have, I would say that with the number of limited options that we have, we see that the kind of, I would say that we see a strong profit and marginal growth and operating at break even. And also some people also have asked, we are making an operating loss, which is what is the kind of a result that we are looking at. So I also have one more follow-up question to ask, which is, do you see how is your industry structure is changing? You see any new technology or a new supplier or a customer preference or a business model change occurring in your industry or in your in the kind of a customers that you are offering on? What do you think about it? So we'll also take about 30 seconds. So just to set this context as such. So these two questions are interrelated for the simple reason that there are businesses who are basically making better profit than others. There are businesses which are basically making an operating loss. There's also an in-betweener, kind of a stagnant growth as such.
Wow. This is 50-50 for the 1 and 2.
Yeah. So if we can have another 10 seconds, because of that, just to be sure that we are also mindful of the time. So people possibly are able to figure out that kind of a changes that is happening around us and then see how they can apply in their business, possibly would be having a better advantage than other. So keeping this in view, what I'm going to do is that we will talk about and discuss about. So I'm just going to make sure that I will also share this, the survey results as a part of follow-up, and then also share my thoughts in a mail to all the participants. Now, what happens is that people who understand what's happening around them and then understand the change and how it impacts their business will have a better business results than the other people as well. And now going back to our question, Sandeep, I just unshared my screen. See, what happens is that when you look at this kind of human evolution as such, now this is not basically happened over the last, I would say that I'm not sure if you're able to see my screen.
No, I think you need to share. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is what I mean. This is more a little bit of philosophical, kind of answer I would start with, but we will also jump into it as such. So it's kind of human evolution started almost like 2.5 million years of BC, and as you rightly started with, change is constant. But then the bigger change, the kind of things that has took a huge leap in terms of transformation somewhere around 2.5 million years of BC, and then we started having a fire somewhere in 300,000 BC. And if you really see this, each kind of evolution brought in new tools, new resources, new awareness to the people. This is one part of it. But the other part of it, Sandeep, is that we also see that the scope, the time between these kind of transformations or the change is getting reduced as we go forward with evolution. And especially in the last, I would say that in the last 100 or 150 years, we started with the first industrial revolution somewhere in about 1760 or so. But then the last three industrial revolutions, second, third, and fourth, the timelines were 100 years, 50 years, and 15 years. It's a kind of reducing. And now when we talk about fifth industrial revolution, we're talking about in the next 5 years. So when these kind of evolution happens, it happens faster, and these don't happen kind of I would say that overnight. So as you say that these are all like small changes, disparate, something I would say that very, very deceptively, not many people are aware also, it's not applicable to me. These are the kind of things it starts with. But when all these things converges, there comes a moment when these processes and practices that used to work and that used to give results fantastically stops working. Now, there can be one event, like one of the event, it can be completely external. It can also be something which is an industry shapes as well. What industry shapes could be something like what cloud has done for the industry, or what external forces or something, what happened in COVID. Like till COVID, everything was fine and great. But then after that, everything stopped working. There are so many business impacted. But what happens when these kind of transformation, when we talked about over the year happens, there are three things which normally happens. One is customer preferences and the needs changes. There is a lot of awareness. There are a lot of things that customer is more aware. And when these customers are preferences are changing, the industry structure also changes. The new people come in, new partners come in, new suppliers come in. And when these two changes are happening, the skills and capabilities also change. Now, possibly let me take a few examples and then explain. I'm sure that all of us, as we know about Gillette as a company. I think many of us use it day in and day out. This company was started in 1901, and basically they sell the high quality, razor handle as kind of free of cost or at a throwaway price. But they have they charge premium for these cartridges to be replaced. And people also used to be called, like in the business, Gillette as a strategy. Like what kind of a business strategy you have? People used to say that as a Gillette strategy, and it's possibly used to kind of work more than 100 years, tried and tested, and they have been Gillette was one of the very, very popular company. Now enter Mark Levin and Michael Lubin in somewhere in 2011. Now these friends kind of frustrated with the fact that, hey, why do we need to pay these blades for higher cost? Now with their own money, they launched a YouTube channel, and also they launched kind of an on-demand providing a shaving, I would say that shaving cartridges and blades. And they call it as a $1 Club. And they incubated it. And what started in January 2011, in a matter of 6 years, disrupted what Gillette has built over the last 100+ years as such. And they were becoming like kind of a unicorn, a kind of a billion-dollar company. And eventually was basically acquired by Unilever, which is competitor to Gillette. This is one example of how a traditional market.
Lakshmi, I also remember one of these phones called BlackBerry, now it's almost obsolete, where every professional used to have BlackBerry, and that used to be the mark what you make when you have a mobile. And I just remember that, like you said about Gillette, I think BlackBerry is another example.
That's very true. And people at some point of time, as you rightly said, Sandeep, BlackBerry felt that when iPhone came into picture, they thought that iPhone is not for the business users, right? I mean, BlackBerry used to be the go-to people for business. They had kind of a monopoly of the business users market as well, and that kind of hubris, and also saying that, hey, things possibly cannot change. Nobody can, this kind of a business model is stable and will not be really changed, is the kind of a mindset the incumbent or the existing companies used to have, is that I have my set of customers who will continue to buy. They will not really go for it. They're all very loyalist. This mindsets basically have these companies struggle when this kind of disruption comes into picture. It's also interesting to see that, like BlackBerry, there is also another famous company. I'm sure that everybody talks about Nokia, because at some point of time, if in somewhere in 2000 to 2007, all of us had one Nokia phone, which is for SMS and phones. But we also know that there used to be I would say that phone called Nokia communicator. I'm not sure if many of us will, it's like a pencil box. It has a kind of a GPS communicator at that point. It has to have an offline. Now, Nokia, it's not that Nokia did not understand the technology part of it, but they look at technology from a phone perspective, from a operator perspective. But you would be surprised to see that somewhere in the Goa, the fishermen used to have this Nokia communicator to help them find where they kept the net. So prior to kind of this using this kind of P90 communicator, they have to struggle to really go to where they kept the net in the night when they go for a fishing. The second part is that prior to these kind of things, they used to have to go through a middleman to check on the prices, right? I mean, when the fisherman catches the price, it has a very limited shelf life, right? So naturally, they have to use the middleman to set the prices. The middleman used to dictate what prices the catch that they have to be sold in. But with the phone coming in, as soon as they catch the kind of fish, they used to communicate in the market what is the running rate for the specific fishes and things like that, and they know what to sell as. Now, this kind of advantage, now using this, they are able to reduce the cost of fishing, as well as they are also able to eliminate the middleman and make more profit. Wish Nokia had known for this kind of an alternate use of, or rather, what possible use this phone or this kind of technology can be used. But because they did not know it, they started as an innovator, but then they started working as an operator. So operator is more about efficiency, doing more of the same thing, have that kind of focus on this profits and other part, which is very important for sure, I would say that. But what's happening on the external fact, when they missed, they fall into what we call it as a legacy trap. Now, when this kind of a legacy trap comes, as you rightly said, this is where the transformation comes into picture. There are a lot of things, as we would have seen, that the transformation is a continuous process. But on the other hand, people stuck with the past thinking, they think that this segment could be small, or there is no fitment is there, and possibly they will lose the current marketplace if they are going to really take a risk, and so on and so forth. They look things at a rear view mirror and possibly failing. And that's where, when we really see that this change or a transformation, when we really look into it, people always scared for the simple reason they do not really look at it beyond that definition of the textbook definition, but rather don't apply to themselves. Sandeep. That's my thought process when we are setting this context as such.
Thank you. For the examples, I think, Lakshmi, you made a point, and the context is clear now. I'm just wondering, we are talking about this Phoenix encounter method as a game changer. So does it mean the earlier methods, for example, in the 80s, a thinking pattern was there, 6 thinking hats by Robert D. Bino. That was one of the #1 seller at that time. Most of the organizations started using that method. And later in the 2000, I think it was a blue ocean strategy, which was for disrupting market or not getting into competitive mindset, but finding a new market. All this as a method, there are many methods that has evolved over a period of time. And why do you think Phoenix encounter method is a game changer today?
again, thanks for asking this question. I would say that still there are things like 6 thinking hats or a blue ocean strategy. All of them are very important. They have the role to play. They're all the tools that a business person or a strategist have it at their disposal to use. Now, when we really look at it, it starts from the fact that why this Phoenix as a change maker is one of the change maker, I'm sure, because this also will have its own different way of doing it. But it starts from the fact is that somebody somewhere is making a product or a service that will make your product obsolete. It all starts from that premises. And it was basically a quote by INSEAD founder George Dorio. And this also starts from the fact that we all heard about this phoenix as a mythical bird, like which is I'm sure every one of us would have. It's an ancient folklore, which basically known for a cycle of death and rebirth. It's said that when they know that when the phoenix know that it's going to die, it going to it's nearing end of its life. It basically prepares itself with a kind of spices and aromatic branches. It kind of sets its mindset and things like that, and sets kind of it's itself aflame, and it's consumed by the fire, and from the ashes a new young phoenix arises and renewed and reborn as such, I would say that. So this kind of cycle of burning and rising basically symbolizes the immortality, I would say that. Now look at it from basically from the business point of view, as we also talked about this kind of a transformation. All businesses sooner or later these phases, these kind of they need to really reconstruct their future. They really need to use these kind of tools, but the thinking process, the mindset that is required is of the phoenix is required. Now, when we really look at these kind of tools, we look at it more from the isolation. So when we really look at it from the phoenix part of it, they will have to destroy a part of their business or everything what they do and really build this through. And there are famous examples, quite a number of examples, like what we all hear about the inspirational stories of Jeff Bezos or Apple founder Steve Jobs as to how they basically kill some of their businesses and be where they are as such, I would say that. But how is it done from the business's point of view, from a Phoenix, Sandeep, is that it follows a structured approach of we need to switching the attitude and proactive scanning of what's happening outside of our industry with respect to technology. Then radical ideation. And the key is about dramatic wargaming. And this kind of, and also why this, I would say that dramatic wargaming is that it follows like a kind of a completely opposite viewpoint debate, I would say that. Because what happens is that when a business owner or a business leader think from their business, they are basically risk averse. Now, we basically give more weightage to loss than basically, I would say that the gains that we do it. So because of that, hey, if I'm going to kill this business, naturally, they would not really know. We want to, unless forced upon, we will not really do it as such. So because of this, what happens is that our innovation or our transformation is more very incremental one. And we don't really deliberate on this. So if someone has to really change themselves, they have to really think about what happens. It's a kind of a structured approach. What happens when we kill our business and when we really start this. So with this kind of a phoenix kind of an attitude, basically it's a boon and bane, I would say that. You're your own worst enemy because you're going to kill the business. And from the fact is that, you reborn as a kind of a, you have a virtual cycle of renewal and growth. And also the other side of is that if you're not having a phoenix attitude, you're also your own best enemy for the simple reason you get into a vicious circle that leads to complacency or a helplessness as to what not really knowing what to do. So that's where it is kind of, I would say that a kind of a mindset and the kind of a tools that we use. And that's where it basically becomes a game changer in today's disruptive business world. Actually.
Okay. One interesting aspect, though this might be happening maybe in some of the companies, even in India, even without this framework, some might have a natural mindset to do this. But in general, culturally, do you think we Indians will be able to use the word destruction, fire and all that? Because, we are culturally not that way, I guess. What is your take on that, Lakshmi?
Yeah, I would say that this is definitely very, very uncomfortable and unsettling when we hear the word disruption or setting the fire of your own, I would say the business. And basically we become very nervous when we hear this, and which is not really, I would say that which is not really a new thing. It is normal. I know whenever we interact with the customers and whenever we interact with the leaders, it really becomes a very, very difficult conversation when we say that, hey, you have to sit, you have to really think about your business from a new perspective as such. The reason is that if we don't, and this is also happening across normally, because what happens in general, all kinds of new thinking happens at a large organization in the last 50 years because they have access to all the resources. But thanks to technology and democratization of knowledge, which is again, I would say that the reason because of the disruption in across various technology, we are having access to these kind of ideas. The ability for us to have this kind of a structured thinking without really getting that kind of finding ourselves in a very picky situation as to getting uncomfortable. The reason is that though they are not new, this kind of, I would say that new competition or new supplier, consolidation of business. But today what is happening is that these kind of disruptions happens at a very large scale, scope and speed. Now, there is a blurring, I would say that the boundary of differences exist across industry. Like what used to call about, I would say that automotive industry or automobile industry about 10 years back, we call them as mobility industry, right? I mean, because we basically anything, anywhere, I would say that the technology is mixed. So unless one really look at both business first and then see how the technology is looked in and various other aspects, it's going to be very, very difficult for the people to really look at it. So what happens is that this kind of disruptions, we call this as a kind of firestorm disruption. It's like comes like I would say like a phoenix getting into the fire, whether it's kind of firestorm disruption comes in, which basically redraws the entire boundaries of the firms, I would say that. And when these new companies come in, when this kind of a technology and the business model change takes over, the existing legacy businesses suffer a lot. I'm going to take few examples and then just run you through a few minutes as to see what we are talking about and why must we look at these kind of, I would say that debates or this kind of thought process to be embedded in our, I would say that thought process from a business user point of view. Let me just take a few examples. I'll just quickly run through. Let me see. Please let me know if you're able to see my screen. So I've taken a few examples. I would say that there are some companies in India as well. There are some companies which are outside of India as well. So what you see is a Tringo, which is basically Mahindra's tractors unit now, which is again merged into the Mahindra and Mahindra now. But when they started in 2016, they saw a need. I'm sure that when we were a child, in a village, having a tractor makes you a kind of a wealthier person, right? When you have a tractor, a person who owns a tractor is like he commands that kind of a big respect, and then he's like kind of maybe a panayar only will have a thing, and they demand all kind of premium. They know their set of time, But then there is a huge number of farmers who has lands but don't have access to this tractor, and because they need to wait, they lose time and they lose money and everything. Now, Mahindra, when they launched this, they used their product, they use mobile application, mobile technology, and they also use the business model as to on-demand tractor service with the driver. So it's not that the farmer need to know about it. So when they are able to use it, they don't have to own it. They can book the tractor. It is available in a very short time, and it comes to their doorstep. They do the work and then they go. They pay for I would say that the service that is rendered. So no longer that you need to own the tractor to get it. So it's basically this done. The second example, I'm sure many of us.
Lakshmi, it is like a Uber for the agriculturist, a farmer.
Exactly. Now, the next example is very interesting person. I'm sure that there are many connoisseurs of single malt whiskey. I'm sure in our group exist, or blended whiskey and all. So what you see is a glyph, which I had an opportunity to have a look at it when I was on a program in Singularity. This is not a normal whiskey, which is basically went through the process of molasses and then formulation and then aged for 60 years and 12 years and things like that, put in a cask. This glyph, which you are seeing, is called as a molecular whiskey. It's basically blend of multiple molecules to get the whiskey's flavor and taste. And all this is done in 24 hours. And based on the requirement, whether you want a 12-year-old or a 20-year-old, whichever is the year that it is, they're able to alter this. So now just imagine the likes of the so many leaders of whiskey manufacturer. When these kind of product comes in, what will happen? So this is a kind of a technology advance. Now they need to really think how they need to really, time to market becomes a key, and then see how they have to really look at it. The third example is about, there is a company. Sorry, you have some thought to say?
Yeah. I think the examples can be interwoven with the next subject, I guess, for want of time.
Sure, definitely.
We'll move on to Phoenix methodology.
So these technologies, just to say, Sandeep, is that these technologies definitely have a lot of the mixing technology with the business model evolving makes these companies formidable. Now, if a normal business owner is not able to integrate these kind of thinking, it's going to be a challenging for them. And that's where this kind of the Phoenix become a game-changing thinking. Only when you are able to let go of your past baggage, you can become a future-facing leader. That's what the overall idea here is, Sandeep.
What is interesting, you said is there is a structure for this method.
Right.
When you say a structure, what exactly does it consist of?
Excellent. So let's also accept the fact is that whatever we are talking, whatever I've told till now, it's not something like I would say people say that, no, this is rocket science and solla mudiyadhu. Okay. Now, these are all more like a common sense and a thing. The fact that it stems from the fact is that all the leaders that we have, they have been, run the business successfully. They're all very smart people, right? I mean, it's not that they're not really not smart and all. They're all very smart people. So what basically they have is that they know that they have to go through the change, but they do not have this kind of tools or the rituals that need to happen, which basically helps them to get the structure. So I would say that there are about three, I would say the steps which is involved, which is basically, I would say that I will also use an opportunity for this to share the screen again, just so that it stays with our members. So there are it's a 3 steps process. So as I said that we are all having, all our leaders, all our business owners are very smart. So what they need is a kind of and tools. So what we are going to do is that with this kind of Phoenix encounter process, there are about 3 steps there. One is the groundwork or the preparation. Now here is where we need to let go of our past beliefs and past, kind of, I would say that, thought process, have a kind of, fresh thinking process, which is again one kind of an exercise. Then one need to prepare what is the current status. So which is basically preparation. It's like Phoenix preparing its fire, it's kind of aromatic spices and then putting that, all this veragu and all these things. So it's like preparation for this. The second one is basically the encounter battlefield is nothing but what happens is this is where the leaders have to go through this intense proactive scanning of what's happening in their industry, what kind of technology, business model, and various other things, I think, which we can cover a little later. The third part is that once you understand that what kind of an attack can be possible when a new company comes in with no constraint of resources, what can be impact on them? And they get the kind of a new ideas as well. And this basically happens in a very secure and psychologically safe environment that they don't feel threatened. That's where it also answers your question on, hey, is it possible for companies in India or leaders in India to think like that? So this is where this kind of a setting of the frame happens. And once we do that kind of an extreme attack where you analyze as to what possible attack can be possible on the company, then you build defense for your company. You fortify the core and then you see where you can expand. And finally, the outcome will be creating a blueprint for us. So totally about 3 steps process, which basically helps, I would say that the business leaders to go through the ritual, go through the thought process to get on with the structured approach to help them see the future.
In your experience, what do you think of the leaders' choices they would make, say, in terms of a company is large and very big, medium, and a small?
So it's a very interesting question, Sandeep. So what happens is that depending on the size of the company, the choices we make also differ. So in a large company, what happens is that the product or service they were providing, they might need to really completely divest of what they are doing and introduce a new product or expand or acquire a new company. And this also happens from the fact is that when you are really analyzing that, hey, a product is consistently making a kind of a, a stagnated or a loss making, there is no point in continuing the same thing. And we might want to really launch the traditional way of looking would be is that launch a new marketing strategy or launch a new promotion, which possibly used to work. But if the need for it is covered by alternative, the large company will have a resource to basically, look at acquiring a company or completely divest of it because it doesn't fit in the thing. And this kind of, I would say that a bold move may not be possible on a regular basis, but this Phoenix helps in terms of putting that kind of a wargaming approach. Now, when it comes to medium, in kind of medium industries, what they really look at it is that, hey, which kind of a market to expand, or do we really need to focus on closing the company or closing a specific unit or modernizing the business? They're more look at the, I would say that the technology perspective or upgrading the technology as a thought of transformation. Today, we call about digital transformation. Majority of the medium industries are doing it about. They're thinking that whatever they are doing in the business, adding a technology part will help them basically sail through this kind of a stagnated revenue or a break even or a making loss kind of a thing. But then when you're adding technology on top of what your existing organization, it becomes what I call it as a EOO, which is basically expensively operating organization. So we become more expensive by introducing new technology, which is also, I would say, that true from the fact is that I would say the majority of the organizations say that whenever they implement a new software, they say that, hey, we are not getting what you used to get it, the intent or the ROI with which it is. So what one medium industries need to look at it is that how they need to really look at who will be their new customers, who are they going to really look at which market they're going to service, how the product need to be integrated with the technology to serve this kind of a new customer. So making that kind of a different thinking, how they have to blend it, that is where the medium kind of an industry can think about it doing. Now, when it comes to small industries, now we all start, like I would say that we are also in the small industry. I would say that NicheBrains is, we started as a startup. Not much of difference exists between small startup, micro and small industries, because all the companies, when they start small. And majority of the companies that is starting small, they stay also small for many years. The reason is that at some point of time, we tend to focus on the day-to-day priority. It's kind of vicious circle. You take a loan, you kind of take a kind of loan to put in acquiring machineries, acquiring everything, and you service them. You make a small profit, you kind of take more, that kind of incremental growth only. Now, how do we break that thinking? Small has to really think about it. If we continue to do the same thing again, what can happen? And again, this is also another part. Most of the time, all these small companies become kind of an extended arm of suppliers for larger companies. They don't have their sales team. They are kind of used to have the kind of let's say if I take an automotive supplier, they become a kind of an OEM supplier as well. They really did not in the last 20 years have to focus about building their own sales. And this is one area where we get a lot of inquiries as well. I would say that a lot of things as to we wanted to really see that we have been working. And suddenly that automotive OEM changes strategy from kind of an IC engine to EV. What happens to the supplier? So naturally, whatever their business, the traditional business thinks is that like they kind of become, I think about a year back, it's also interesting that I visited Ambattur industry factory where we had a lot of interaction with, I would say the micro manufacturer, I would say that. All these people are very small, maybe 5 crores, less than 5 crores. Now, they used to supply to larger organizations like TVS, Brakes, all these groups. Now, I think about a couple of years, TVS made a decision to consolidate their small vendors into one. So what happens that they outsource their supplier to a smaller or other medium enterprises. Now, the medium enterprises had to work through the smaller guys or micro guys in the initial stages. But then what happens? Their profits are increased. At some point of time, they thought that, okay, we can also do this. So they stopped the business flow to this. Now, what happens? There are so many people in Ambattur industry estate, they don't have a business as such. So that is, I would say that is because they've been very comfortable, complacent that, hey, this used to happen. Now, what could have done they differently is that when they sense it or before even it comes, proactively seeing where they could be businesses and they're building that sales muscle, possibly would have helped them. So that's the kind of a way one can think from large, medium, and small perspective. Sandeep.
one session may not be sufficient even to set this platform to understand the overall Phoenix methodology. But on a day-to-day, living, what example would you give, for people to understand what could be Phoenix? Like
Yeah, I would say that.
Movie or, something like that, very, very
Well,
mundane,
I'm sure that.
very entertaining area.
Yeah, I think when it comes to, I can take an example from movie. When it comes to movie, I'm sure that everybody, the first name recall would be Rajini. And I call Rajini follows knowingly or unknowingly Phoenix encounter method. Let me explain why. When he started as possibly a villain, and he got a kind of a second hero, I would say that. And somewhere post 80 after Billa movie, I'm sure that he started having a kind of one formula, like used to have that formula for almost till 1996, till Annamalai or till the Padayappa movie come. He had this kind of a set formula. But he also realized that over a period of time, and which used to work for that kind of a customer base, like that is where we were all like college going kids, and we used to go for first day, first show for that movie. But post 2000, if you see, he had a string of like some movies and all. But then came, I would say that he realized that he should not be working on the same way. And he changed, he basically started giving opportunity to new directors. Since then, he no longer used to work with SP Muthuraman and all. They are good directors of their own time, but they changed directors as such, and which has been. And he started giving in 2000s a certain set of directors like all the people like Sundar and Chandramukhi has come in, and he started giving opportunity to. And now, if you see that he started like when Rajini movies there has to be a heroine, there has to be a love songs and all. But now and not just that, he gives opportunity to new directors. He gives his business model has changed. Previously, he might used to charge basically based on what is the fee for fixed fee, but he also take the distribution model, kind of a profit sharing. So that instead of charging upfront, the third is technology usage. So this, when did he realize? He did realize proactively that understanding, and that song recently in the movie Jailer also, like where Anirudh song is about like where he talked about I have seen your granddad, or I've played with your dad, and now I'm with you. I forgot the song, but that basically is a classic example of how one can be relevant and how a sustainable businesses can be built across different period of time by looking at number one, what's happening across your business environment, who are your customers, what are their needs and preferences, and what are the different kind of technologies that can utilize, and what kind of a business model innovation you can think about it to kind of put it everything. I'm not really sure whether Rajini has thought through all this, whether by implicitly or explicitly, but it's a classic kind of a thought process one can, I would also say that we can also apply it to our own life. I would say that one can personally think about if they continue to do in personal life, what they do is not working. Taking that kind of a bird's eye view kind of a thing as to stop doing what it is and then start thinking about new ways of thinking and work. And whenever we reflect back on our personal life also, we become successful when we stop doing the old practices and then start doing new practices, which basically, we are all phoenixes of our own, I would say that making at some point of time in our life. It's just that we need to reinculcate that thought process, Sandeep.
Completely agreed. There could be many examples. One, when I started this session, I said about IPL. I just wanted to know your view on two things. One, is IPL, do you think it is kind of a Phoenix encounter method, or it's just a business model of a different kind?
No, it's a fantastic. I would say that when we really go back to the origin, I was also reflecting on this part as well. I think every business which is successful today, when it can, let us look at it from more than IPL. Let us look at it from a cricket's view in somewhere in 2006, 2007, just before IPL launch. We had our domestic cricket was slowly coming down. And in a Ranji Trophy or this thing, the popularity which you used to have, I'm sure that when we were kids, we used to listen to radios or watch all these domestic matches forever, I would say that. And the people, what used to be more like it's about players' technique, and the focus is more on match and the results as such, right? Over a period of time, we used to only go for these kind of, I would say, World Cup matches or few World Cup matches as well. But when IPL came, what they changed as well is that how do they can mix sports with entertainment? So that is one. and get that kind of, when they followed things like IPL or, English Premier like football or baseball, they're all like kind of, I would say they're very popular in those days, right? A lot of people used to go and watch this, spend a lot of money, spend a lot of time, and whatever the time that used to go for movies, they can always go for these kind of matches as well. Sensing that there is a change in the way people's taste have been changing, and there are still people who love to play, love to watch test matches and one days as well, but they also want that instant gratification or small, lesser thing as well. So sensing these things, IPL has launched, number one. Second is that when these things change, the rules of the game also has to go through changes. So they did change the rules of the game. They involved a lot of technology like third umpire. There are a lot of so many new technologies or leverage to get the results as well. And in fact, it so happens is that one of INSEAD alumni has launched a company called Straight Bat, which basically for every stroke that people plays, it gets the data of how to play this ball, how the technique of the batsman, to analyze and then give the suggestions as well. So all these things are converging that. And today IPL is not just, I would say, that a cricket match, but it's a kind of an media industry, I would say. It's a kind of a festival, people go for it. So that's a kind of a thing. And that is possible only by reimagining the way the cricket has been looked. From cricket as a sport to cricket as an entertainment and media. That's my thought process, Sandeep.
Now, for the members, PSG alumni members or ABC members here, what do you, in your words, what do you think that a structural approach is? You already explained the three-step approach. Where they should start, if and how they should start.
Excellent. So I'll just quickly, I would say that, see, it's just like this. Okay. So I would possibly think about this has two steps. I would say that one is that it's about one needs to start preparing and having the mindset of change. Is the screen visible, Sandeep?
Yes. Yes.
Excellent. So there are three steps we talked about. One is preparing. It comes through having the mindset of change and also looking at the possibilities. This is the first step. The second step is also to having a stock of what is the current value proposition, current set of customers who's having. The second step is about just imagine that a new company comes which doesn't have any constraint on resources, any constraints on finances, how they can disrupt or how they can kill your company. When someone has no resource constraint, no limitation to access of technology. And this also has, in a way that related to a question, hey, if only I had this, I could have done that. These are some of the questions. Hey, if I have this, I would have had this possible. Now, this is how we normally tend to limit our thought process. Instead of that, hey, if someone has limitless power, limitless access to, there is no limitations, how they will kill this company. Now, once you put basically it also dissociates yourself from your company and think from that. So it helps you in terms of thinking about how other company can possibly kill. Once you know that is the worst case or what are the things that they will do. And it comes from the fact as different technologies, business model, or various government even policies, or somebody poaching your talents as well. There are various simulations can be done. And this is about multiple scenarios thinking as well. And once you have all kinds of scenarios, then you can prioritize and see how you can respond. That is what I call as building the defense or building the kind of, I would say, building the fortification. And once you do that, you will also get a prioritized list of what to focus tomorrow and what to focus 6 months from now, and what should be your plan for, let's say, about 3 years from now and 5 years from now. It all comes from the fact that when you're doing this kind of an attack by the unknown new company and building your defense, you also try to see who are your new customers, what kind of technologies can help you, what kind of a business model can help. And all these things can also be possible, I would say that, by sitting and then reflecting on this part. And once you do this, you put in a blueprint for, I would say that, what you can do next. And immediately what one can do, like this is what I would say that immediate takeaway for our viewers and other thing, I would say that just have a reflection on who are your customers today? And what does your employees expect? If you have investors, what do they think about? What do they need? If you have partners, you might be using transactional or how you can embed or co-create, which is a nice word that we are using it for ABC as well as we are going forward. And what can be regulators could be planning for your organization? Are there other impacts? And for each of these things, what will matter for them in future? And what should be the value proposition? Today you have some value proposition, but each of them also requires value proposition in the future. Why do they do it? And how do you differentiate based on these inputs? When you're able to put in just what comes, not much of thinking, that can be a starting point to start with, Sandeep. And of course, it's also another thing is that we can have, ABC, I would be happy to organize for a closed group of people, a focused workshop on going through the steps in detail, each phases, and have this, put a structure thinking in these 3 different steps, and then come out with the blueprint for future organization as well as an, I would say that as a kind of initiative through ABC as well.
Yes, I was about to ask you that, because what happens is when as an individual, if I want to change and I'm looking and seeking for the change, maybe I approach such methods, I find a way. But when information has to go to a certain set of people, for example, ABC as a value addition to our members, if they're able to know more about such programs and what Niche Brains can do. See, the groundwork, I understand when I read through your matrix, the groundwork might be the most significant stepping stone for anyone, I guess, to prepare themselves. I'm just wondering, would Niche Brains be involved in helping them mold that preparatory work? Or you expect them to come with a requirement, or they're ready to change and then you take on from there? How does it work?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting question. So in as a Niche Brains as a platform, we have a framework which basically gives the help for groundwork on preparation as well. So what we call it as a, I would say a diagnostic help, which basically gives them where they are today. I would say that part on the Niche Brains, if they are, if you are registering, for any of our members are registering as a customer, they can go through this kind of a transformation checklist and they will be recommended as to where they are now. And what Niche Brains also as a platform can also do, if there are having any specific business challenges which they know, we can also provide an expert who has done it before for the specific industry as a leader. So they know that, and they are not just going to give an advice, but they will work with these, with the business leader based on the outcome, for the outcome. Because our thing is that gone are the days where the consultants provide advice and then take off. But rather, our hypothesis is that people need to provide outcome, not just advice. So this is the second part of it. So when any of our members register, and the third one is we can also, as I think I would say that this is also something more on the personal thing, as a giving back to our PSG community, is that we can have one-on-one conversation with anyone interested in terms of not just diagnosing, but also helping them recommend as to how they can put in place, how they can put in place a future-facing blueprint as well, Sandeep. That's something which we can do from Niche Brains.
Maybe with your experience, you are just able to answer even before I asked the question. I was just wondering, is one-on-one possible? Because sometimes it's very difficult to open up with a group of people. Not all are comfortable. So there could be a group session and there could also be a one-on-one interaction. Because change is not very easy, especially in a small industry where small and medium as well, I guess, from a proprietorial mindset. As a founder who would have started a company, he himself carries a lot of legacy, leave alone the company. So to change that mindset, how it can happen can be one of the platform where ABC can work on. And based on the feedback of today's session, I also feel a little bit of more warm-up can be given. Maybe a continuous webinar sessions can happen. So people are able to listen and then they're able to find out what can be done, because one session, 1 hour is not at all enough to get to that process of Phoenix encounter. It's easy to talk, but there are so many things to burn, immolation. Then we need. So thank you for your effort. And we are very, very happy that you are also an ABC member. And I hope you are also part of the EC. I'm not very sure about
right.
it.
That's right.
Lakshmi. So let's get together a lot and let's see what we can afford to the ABC member as a good value. And through the process, is it necessary that they go through the Phoenix encounter alone, or they can take bits and pieces and then formulate their own strategy to go forward? What would be your suggestion?
So my thought process, I would say that, see, Phoenix is one set of, I would say that there are I mean, I would say that everybody has their, there are variations and things like that. So I would possibly think with these, what is the problem to be solved? What is the business challenge that they are facing actually? Now, we started with the question as to how has been your business? Are you able to understand what's happening in your industry structure? These things itself as kind of part. It can also be to see that, hey, I want to change the culture of my organization. So it all starts with that. Now, what happens is that once you start the groundwork or once you start the encounter, now all these are only method. They don't really follow that, okay, this is the one set of, okay, you need to use SWOT analysis or thing, which is completely left to an individual business owner as to use what type of tools. Tools and other things are enablers. But that here, the Phoenix is more about the mindset and that kind of a structure that follow. And what we do through this Phoenix encounter is to create the kind of a mindset, create the kind of rituals, and then set the environment where people are helped to think through that. And but it's very difficult when we ask, when we want to reflect on that thinking, it's very difficult to put ourselves in a very uncomfortable situation because we are not tuned to it. So that is where the facilitation or the kind of a radical ideation or opposite view debate comes in. And also think about this, it's not an individual exercise. And normally I would recommend that if you're an organization and if you have at least 1 or 2 people, have them on board. Or better would be to have, if you have a cross multi-organization also can come in, and we can have this kind of a confidentiality and everything also can be maintained as well. So that will basically have more diverse set of people so that the kind of exchange and the outcome will be much more better. That's thought process.
Yes. And I think it is for even the young startup entrepreneurs as well as who are already established. Both this diverse range of our members can benefit from this. This is what I can think of. My only thought process is, can they go with some specific areas where they think this method to this level is enough? I'll go and work on my own way. Will it work, or they have to go through the whole process of the going through the structure, going through the exercise, and going through the full mile? That's what I wanted to know.
Okay, so I would say that it's always advisable to go through the entire process because it's like beginning, like a phoenix, every where it burns and then raise into new birth and then look at the future. Now, once they know that where they want to go, because what happens is that you get a set of ideas and then set of action plan to be done. Now, once you start implementing, you can always do on your own way as such. But what happens is that when you go through this 3-step process, what you get is a specific outcome as to what is your future facing organization immediately, 6 months, 3 years, and 5 years. So you have this. Now, to implement this action plan or fine tune all these things, you can always feel free to use other tools and other methods as well. It's perfectly fine in that part as well. But you have to go through the structure so that you get a full outcome.
Got it. And the time frame for an organization is according to their own action plan. Somebody might be very active and somebody might need more time. These are all manageable.
Right. So typically, I would say that these 3 phases, I would always say that what is important, like Phoenix, again, comes in the sense of urgency is important. The preparation and the outcome should be completed possibly in a matter of a month's time into a structured way. So you have that outcome. Like, wait naturally it's taking its own time. But the implementation phase, because what happens, implementation, by the time you get it, you have some portion of it, you will start implementing immediately. You can face it. Because when you're going through this kind of a disruption, you need to make time to your thing. And there is no better time than now is what I always say that. So you in a time where we normally, I would say that, where we interact with the participants or the business leaders, we try to have these kind of 3 phases completed and one go, I would say that. And possibly if all goes well, I would say that 3 days continuously the participant goes through, or normally because we have other works and other things, we say that, okay, structured intervention, like every week you spend about a couple of hours. So by end of it, you have that kind of a future-facing blueprint, which is ready. How you implement and what ideas to implement it immediately or the things can be decided. That's the thing, because the time is the very, very critical part in this kind of initiatives.
The time frame, what you are saying itself looks to be disruptive, because when I started this conversation, I thought you were going to say at least you need, a certain number. We always talk about a quarter or a half, like that. But you are saying 1 month and 3 days. That looks phenomenal. Well,
எப்பவுமே எப்படின்னா ரொம்ப யோசிச்சோம்னா, see the whole thing also, this kind of disruptions, if you really look at it, the transformation, all these small things, we all have idea. Okay, நான் வந்து நாளைக்கு பண்றேன், அப்புறம் பண்ணலாம். There are other priorities which is pending, which is definitely there. And these priorities or these burning problems always be there all through thing. இன்னைக்கு ஒண்ணு இருக்கும், like நாளைக்கு இன்னொன்னு change ஆகும். But only that taking that kind of a moment, then only you will start really thinking that and then doing it. That's the whole idea also, building that kind of a sense of urgency as to why now is very, very key, a tenet for Phoenix Encounter success.
Okay. We will wait if there is any questions from the audience for a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Then possibly, I was just trying to prompt all the questions, because one, as members, as an PhD alumni community, how we can all benefit from this process, where you are so open to come and talk to us. I think quite often, or when I say quite often, maybe in a structured way of how we are going to go about this program. And you also spoke about one-on-one as well as a group sessions. So if there is a community willingness here, maybe we can organize all that. And I don't see any questions as of now, Lakshmi. So possibly we will try to end the session. Yeah. Or maybe we'll wait for a few seconds if there is any more questions from the audience. And how do you find this Phoenix Encounter picking up in India? Like, what is your...
Very interesting question. So while I would say that across different parts of the globe, we see an increased one. But in India, I would say as of now, large organizations are implementing it, like companies like I have worked with Tata Group of companies. There are many companies in that. And also there is a F&B company, very famous chocolate manufacturer, which is a very popular brand in India, which is we have worked with. And also, of course, Mahindra has been doing it. There are quite many number of organizations which has been pioneering in that. My specific or my interest is also working with smaller organization, which is and our interaction with our customers as well, to see that how we can incorporate. So I would say that for small and medium, it's still we are in the early stages. But I would say that that's where companies we wanted to really make an impact. Sandeep.
Yeah, I got dropped out for a while there.
Now, what I was saying is that we are including in NicheBrains platform these elements of Phoenix Encounter more digitally. I would say that's where we are when we say that we want to disrupt the consulting, the way it's done is that see how we can incorporate the ideas and other things across onto our platform, so that even it is accessible to micro, small, medium industries as well. That's our thought process.
That will be very interesting. And let me also explore how small industries can be brought together. Well, for an opening, see, it's up to them how they take it forward. Exactly. But then what they can do, we will see of that. And the final question on the Phoenix Encounter, I'm seeing, I have a book which you recommended here. Is it straight, or should I fold it like this?
No, you need to little bit 90 degrees. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, the Phoenix Encounter method. I find for a change, a lot of Indian authoring this book.
Yeah, I would say that I also take a moment, because I've worked with all the 3 professors pretty closely, because they are also my teachers. Paddy Padmanabhan and Samir Azija are the main authors. And of course, Ian Woodward is an Australian. And of course, this has also been co-authored by Ram Charan. I'm sure he's the global management thinker. All the 3 of them, like Ian, Paddy, and Samir, are the INSEAD professors. And I had an opportunity, I would say that I'm blessed to work with them closely on various engagements. And it also gives me a first-hand impression as to what the authors think as well. So, which is again, I would say that great experience, Sandeep, as such.
Wonderful, wonderful. So there is one Q&A has popped in. Let me see. Will the outcome, Ganesh and Subhaya, will the outcome measurement of this methodology be more of qualitative, or can it also be made quantitative?
Excellent question. See, the whole idea is that when we are looking at it, when we are generating the blueprint, we also talk about immediate, short-term, medium. So it's not just a qualitative as to, I would say that it has to be quantitative and specific measurable outcomes are to be attained, because that's where once we understand what is that happening outside and what one has to really respond to this kind of external situations, and we split these goals on a horizontal basis, the goals must be also quantitative, not just qualitative. So the companies can sit with respect to goals on cost or profit or culture, whichever is the case. So once we come out of with that, and we can also see that how this progress happens, because at the end of the day, business also to a great extent runs on numbers. It's not just the qualitative or innovations and a very subjective measurement, but also it's quantitative. Let's say. Thanks for asking the question.
Thank you, Ganesh. And I think it's now time to say thanks. Thanks to all the office bearers of ABC EC members for creating a platform for excellent knowledge sharing. Thanks to Chennai Chapter EC members for their continued enthusiastic work in bringing the alumni community together. Thanks to Ravi of Cartech for technical support in conducting this program. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks to all the alumni who have joined this program today, and looking forward to your continued support. Please do bring in members to the ABC, more the merrier. A very big thanks to Lakshmi Murthy for the insightful session on the Phoenix Encounter method. And I am sure, Lakshmi, that we will discuss in the ABC as well. You will also be part of the discussion. That this is not going to be a one-session wonder. We will have to carry on, and your offer is taken by heart.
Thank you, ABC, for the opportunity. Thank you, Sandeep, for being an excellent host, and also all the office bearer for giving me the opportunity. I hope that 1 hour is not sufficient. Each topic can be dwelled for entire day, but I hope I was able to give some information which is useful. I would be happy to have more conversation, and you can always reach out to me. I will share my number and email ID. I'm sure it's also with all of you. And I would be happy to carry forward the conversation further as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And best wishes to all the alumni members. And let's hope that we will have some firestorm disruption in even conducting this Phoenix Encounter for ABC session. For you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best.